Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Go to my cheat sheet for today's only main slate for today on DraftKings. Before we continue though, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. I really appreciate that. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPinell16. And if you guys are interested in NFL, I did post 2 videos for that already for week 1, the quarterback breakdown and the running back breakdown. I got my NFL sheet ready for that. Very excited about it. Been working on that for a while now, so if you're interested, check it out after you watch this video. Anyway, let's get into today's slate. So at pitcher, we got Jack Flaherty versus the Rockies, Vince Velasquez versus the Marlins, and Jose Barrios versus the Tigers. So let's take a little dive into the pitching sheet to see why I like the guys that I like. So let's start off with Jack Flaherty at 9,400. He's my favorite pitcher on these slate. He's a core play for me at this price tag versus the Rockies away from Coors Field, which we all know the Rockies really struggle away from Coors Field. Flaherty's been amazing this past stretch of games he's had. I mean, his last game wasn't like absolutely amazing, but nonetheless, he's been absolutely awesome. And he's got good numbers, 3.94 xFIP, 28% strikeout rate. He's like a negative 200 favorite going into the game, pitching at home. I have to like about Jack Flaherty. He's my preferred spend-up option, and he doesn't break the bank either. Then let's talk about Barrios at 10K. It's really just the matchup play versus the Tigers. The Tigers suck versus righties. We all know this. So if you look at the Tigers splits versus right-handed pitching, it's 26.5% strikeout rate, 149 team ISO, 283 team MOBA, 73 WRC plus. These numbers are all near bottom of the barrel, if not the bottom of the barrel. So like Jose Barrios, although I'm not going to play Barrios and Jack Flaherty. That's just kind of nonsense to me. So if I had to pick one, I'm going with Flaherty, but I don't mind Barrios either. And then let's talk about Vince Velasquez at 7,800. He draws himself a pretty good matchup versus the Miami Marlins, who you're going to see lots of shades of green here, pretty much similar to the Detroit Tigers. They're striking out 25% of the time to righties, 124 team ISO, 283 team WOBA, 75 WRC plus. These are all very, very bad numbers. Good numbers for Vince. So I do like Vince. He's got strikeout upside. He's got a 25.5% strikeout rate. Now, I mean, he's not the best pitcher in the world, but he can get the job done. He's got a ceiling, so I do like Vince as a nice SP2 option for tomorrow. Then let's talk about the bats. So we got Rays again. I like the Rays. Travis d'Arnaud versus Ty Block. He is a terrible pitcher. I mean, he's just got terrible numbers all around. Let's go back to the pitching sheet. Look at his numbers this season. Not good. The dark shades of red. We don't like to see that. Although we do like to see it if we're using the batters against him. He's got a 12 ERA, which we don't like to use ERA. So he's got a 6.53 xFIP, which is also terrible. It's the second worst on his slate, only behind Sheffield. 16% strikeout rate. The Orioles bullpen sucks. It's a huge park upgrade for the Rays. Like I said, the bullpen sucks. It's a good part for hitting. A lot to like about the Rays tomorrow. So I do like Travis d'Arnaud with how good he's been versus lefties. Mitch Garver versus a lefty Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd's not a slouch, but Mitch Garver's just been elite versus left-handed pitching this season, so I do like him. And Alex Avila versus Jordan Lyles, who will struggle with a little bit with lefties, and Avila's always been pretty good versus righties, so he makes a lot of sense to me. And obviously, if we have like a 2K punt catcher become available, it's in the lineup. Obviously, there's obvious interest in that. Then at first base, we have Jesus Aguilar at 3,900. Oh, no, my laptop's at 7%, so it's going to be a miracle if we can finish this. All right, anyway, Jesus Aguilar versus Ty Block. I said I loved all the righties versus Ty Block. He sucks, and Aguilar's always been very good versus lefties, so it makes a ton of sense to me. CJ Cron versus a lefty versus Matthew Boyd. CJ Cron's just been always really, really good versus lefties, especially this season, so he makes a lot of sense in my opinion. Pete Alonso versus Folty. Folty's been bad versus righties and lefties. Alonso's crushing righties and lefties this season, so I do think this is a pretty good home run spot. The only problem is he's really expensive. Then shout out to Carlos Santana in this matchup versus Jacob Junis too. Second base, Jose Altuve, 5,300 versus Jose Suarez, a fly ball pitcher, struggles with righties. Altuve's been elite versus lefties this season. Although the Astros cannot hit a baseball recently, I keep playing them. They just keep doing nothing. Man, it's just frustrating because they're in such good spots versus this terrible Tigers team. But I don't know, maybe they'll catch fire soon. I hope so. Then Joe Panic at 3,500 versus Folty. Just too cheap in my opinion. He's got a decent spot in the order. He's pretty decent versus righties, so he makes a lot of sense to me. Adam Frazier versus Anthony Desclafani, who struggles with left-handed bats. He should be leading off. And then Desclafani's a huge splits guy. He's really good versus righties. When it comes to the lefties, not so good. Third base, Alex Bregman, another Astros, but versus a fly ball lefty and Jose Suarez, I think he makes a lot of sense. Jose Ramirez at 4,700 versus Jacob Junis. I guess I don't love the Indians, but I do like the Indians versus Junis. He's got a good strikeout rate, but he will struggle with some power, so do like Ramirez at that price tag. Then Matt Carpenter versus Peter Lambert, 3,800. Lambert sucks versus lefties. He's got some big splits versus them, and Carpenter's always been pretty good versus righties, so he makes some sense there, that price tag. Shortstop, we got Frankie Lindor, who just owns Jacob Junis, so I think that's a good spot if you're going to be stacking the Indians. I don't think the Indians will have much ownership, and I think they can hit. I think they can rack up some runs here, lower ownership, so I do like them. J.P. Crawford at 4,100, a guy I like to use versus righties. He's cheap, been very good versus them this season. Trent Thornton is pretty tough on righties, but when it comes to the lefties, he does struggle a bit. Then Bo Bichette at 4,600 versus Sheffield. I mean, he does not have a huge sample size, but he was not very good in his limited sample size. So I don't mind going. Oh, I guess Bregman just homered and Michael Brantley got a double. Slack chat's informing me that, so I guess it just took me talking bad about them to do something finally. So there you go. But yeah, Bo Bichette, like him versus lefties. And their Slack chat's telling me to keep talking crap about the Astros. Apparently it's working. So yeah, in the high-end outfield, we have Nelson Cruz versus a lefty. That's one of the rules of DFS. If Cruz is playing a lefty, it makes him one of the best plays on the slate, no matter who it's against. He is really, I will say he's fairly high price, but he's not going to be, I can't imagine he's owned very much. I can't imagine he's highly owned at that price tag versus Matthew Boyd. So it could be a nice GPP play there. We're at 4% now. I'm trying to hurry. I apologize if I'm talking fast. George Springer versus the lefty. Fly ball lefty. George Springer crushes lefties. He makes a lot of sense there. Tommy Pham versus Ty Block. I love all the Rays in this matchup. Block sucks. Orioles bullpen sucks. Good park for hitting. Makes a lot of sense. The mid-range outfield, Michael Conforto at 4,600 versus Folty. Conforto crushes right-handed pitching. Folty struggles versus lefties and righties. Makes a lot of sense to me. David Peralta, a cheap lefty versus Jordan Lyles in a hitter-friendly ballpark. Shin-Soo Choo, 4,700 versus Dylan Cease. I wish the game was in Texas, but I still don't mind it. Randall Grichuk at 3,800 versus Sheffield. He's just been pretty good versus lefties. Trent Grisham, if he's in the lineup, versus Merrill Kelly, 3,500. And then Corey Dickerson at 4,400 versus Hector Noesi. I know it's a bad ballpark for hitting for the Phillies, but Noesi's not a very good pitcher, so I actually think a full Phillies stack would be in play at lower ownership. Then the core plays and top stacks for me are Jack Flaherty at 9,400. Then I like Aguilar and Panic at those price tags. I think that's just really good, too good to pass up there. And then the top stacks for me are the Rays, the Mets, the Phillies, the Indians, the Brewers, and the Cardinals. All right, guys, that's all I have for the video. I apologize if it was a little shorter. I don't have my charger with me, and we're at 4%, so I was just trying to talk fast. I apologize, but anyway, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. Really appreciate that. Follow me on Twitter at ChrisPatel16. Check out the NFL videos. Very excited for NFL. And I'll wish you guys the best of luck, and I'll see you in the next video.